Hello, welcome to Scrap Time, episode 976. My name is Christine, and on today's episode, I'm showing you some products from Dina Wakley for Ranger. Today I am showing you Dina Wakley's new media line with Ranger. I have a few of the heavy body acrylic paints. I have blackberry violet, magenta, and lime, and then the black and white gesso and the gel mediums. I'm going to show you the page I made. So here in the background, you can see the magenta and the violet paints. And I've used a few of Dina's stencils. There is this one here with this stencil and mask. I used the mask in this one. And then I have the birds that I've used. And the little grid. And so I did the background, you can see, with the different color paints. And then I painted on the flower on top. And I added on a multi-medium texture. That's where the grid comes in. So we're going to use a few of the paints. And what I want to show you is I only had a few colors to play with. And so even if you just have a couple colors and some black and white, you can get a variety of colors. So I'm going to be using the magenta today. And I'm going to start by doing the softer color. And so I'm putting the white gesso down. Now I found that her gesso is a little thinner than some other gessos on the market. And I know that's because Dina likes to just put thin layers of gesso on all her bases to all her projects. Whereas I don't necessarily put a lot of gesso on my projects. So what I'm doing is putting a bit of the pink into the gesso. Now, Dina also came out with some paint brushes. You can see the really big one, and then another flat, smaller one, and the rounded tip ones. So I'm going to start by using this really big one. I like to use the big one. It's great for doing the backgrounds. So I want just a really soft color. So I have my white here, and what I do is I pick up some of the magenta, and then just blend it. You can do this with a palette knife rather than a brush, but for now. And now you can see we have that nice pastel color of the magenta, and I'm going to paint it on. And with the nice big brush, you get to cover a lot of your page quite easily. Now, it's probably better to blend the colors with like a little popsicle stick or a palette knife, because now I have a lot of the paint is in this brush. So I might have to make a little bit more if I can squeeze it out. Yeah, I need a little bit more gesso. Oops, that's the magenta. I don't want that. White gesso. And just a tinge. Now when you're making your lighter colors, what you want to do is put the color into the white, because you need such a small amount of color. If I was to put the white into this pink, I would end up with a huge amount of paint. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a quick dry. Because it was a thin layer, it doesn't take that long to dry. So now I'm going to take that little mask I had, and I'm going to use the paint at the full intensity for this layer. And just go over my mask. Again, I'm using that big brush because it covers a lot of space really quickly. So then I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to just shift it a bit so the pattern, it doesn't look like it's just all lined up. And then I can just flip it over like this. And just finish off the top. So now I'm going to dry that. So you can see just by using the white and then the full intensity, the different colors we get. And you can do this with a whole level of colors. Like you could do a lot of white, the medium white, and just by the different combinations, you can get that whole range of colors. You could do a whole ombre effect. So now I am going to do the darker. So I'm putting my magenta back on. And I'm going to use some black, but I'm going to put the black over here. Now black, you need so little of. It just jumps in color. So I'm going to just take a little bit of my black, and this time with the palette knife, blend it together. And you can see even that tiny bit I did, what a difference in the color it makes. And I want to try and mix it up. And this is a great way to do like shadows. So I'm going to take this grid this time. And this time I'm going to go with, I think, the smaller flat brush. Just to try and get it into my grid. And you don't have to color the paint over the whole thing. I'm just so there, just like that. Now I have the darker color. So if you are limited in the number of paint colors you have, just by adding white and black to them, you can get a whole ombre effect of colors. And you always want to put the darker color into your colors. So with the white, we started with the big thing of white and added a little bit of the magenta. And then when we were adding the black, we added just a tiny bit of black into the magenta. So whatever the lighter color is, you want to start with that and just add a tinge of the color you're mixing in to get the color you want. And these are the new products from Dina Wakley for Ranger. Well, that's it for today's episode. Be sure to check out our website at www.scraptime.ca. And on our next episode, I'm going to be showing you the We Are Memory Keepers Albums Made Easy storage. So please join us. Thanks for watching Scrap Time.